Because once you understand what's really driving someone, their fears, their longings, their motivations, you stop taking things so personally. You begin to see the deeper layers behind their actions, their choices, and even their moods. And that friend who always seems busy or distracted, maybe they are operating from a place of scarcity or proving their worth. Welcome to Soul Time, a show that explores the world of unlocking your unique potential. My name is Dr. Katja Makowka, and I'm a teacher at school, a former teacher at universities, and a stress and mental coach. And I'm your host. Today I have 5 questions that could change the way you connect with yourself and others. In our day-to-day lives, it's easy to rush around so much that we lose touch with ourselves and even with the people we care about most. So pause for a moment and ask yourself, have I ever really sat down and answered the question, what do I truly value? And beyond that, have I ever taken the time to understand the core values of the people closest to me? My partner, my family, my friends. This goes far beyond the simple exercise of listing values you think sound good or what you wish you stood for. It's about honest reflection and meaningful conversation. Because here's the truth. Our values are the invisible thread guiding our choices, our energy, and how we show up in relationships. But often we don't pause long enough to check if our daily actions align with those values. Even more, we don't always realize that the people in our inner circle might hold different values, sometimes conflicting values that can uplift us or quietly drain us. And this alignment gap matters deeply. When our values are out of sync with those around us, it creates friction, misunderstanding, and can leave us feeling disconnected or even invisible. You might notice it as a nagging frustration or a quiet sense that something's off. But it's rarely spoken out loud. By contrast, when you identify your true values and start to recognize those of the people you spend your time with, you create a foundation for deeper connection and authentic support. You begin to see where your relationships fuel your growth and where they might be holding you back. So this isn't about judgment or trying to fix anyone else. It's about honoring your own growth, your own truth, and allowing that clarity to guide how you show up and who you choose to surround yourself with. Because once you are clear on your values, you start living with intention, not just reacting. You choose connection that feels real and nourishing, not exhausting or performative. The second deep question you should ask yourself and your loved ones is, what drives you right now? And is it fear, love, or something else? Let's take a moment to go deeper than the surface of your goals and ambitions. Because what's really driving you right now? What's fueling the fire behind your hustle? Is it pressure? Maybe from others or even yourself? Is it a fear of falling behind, missing out, or not measuring up? Or maybe it's a pure love for what you do, a joy in the process, and a deep alignment with your purpose. Because once you understand what's really driving someone, their fears, their longings, their motivations, you stop taking things so personally. You begin to see the deeper layers behind their actions, their choices, and even their moods. And that friend who always seems busy or distracted, maybe they are operating from a place of scarcity or proving their worth. That partner who pulls away during stress, maybe they were taught that vulnerability isn't safe. It doesn't mean you excuse bad behavior, but it gives you the tools to respond with compassion and boundaries. When you know what fuels the people around you, you can support them in a more aligned way, not based on what you think they need, but based on what actually moves them. You stop projecting and start connecting. And more importantly, when you get clear on what's driving you, you can start making choices that feel empowering instead of exhausting. And that's how you shift out of autopilot. That's how you build relationships that aren't based on silent expectations or misunderstandings, but on shared truth. Because clarity is connection. And with that in mind, let's move to the third question. One that's often avoided, but might be the most revealing of all. How do you handle your emotions, and how do you expect others to handle them? This one is a big one. Let's start with you. When you feel hurt, frustrated, overwhelmed, what do you do? Do you bottle it up and pretend you are fine? Do you explode and later regret it? Do you try to reason your way out of feelings before they have even had a chance to breathe? And now ask yourself this. How do you expect other people to handle your emotions? Do you secretly want someone to fix it for you? To just get it without you having to explain? Or do you withdraw because you don't want to burden anyone? And now flip it. How do you respond when someone else is emotional? Do you go into problem solving mode? Do you feel overwhelmed or uncomfortable? Do you shut down or open up? And how do your loved ones handle their emotions and expect you to handle theirs? Do you really know them? Have you asked them? Understanding our own emotional patterns and those of our loved ones is a gateway to more honest, supportive relationships. It helps you move past the surface of you are too sensitive or you are too cold and into real empathy. Because emotional intelligence isn't just about how you feel, it's about how you hold space for your own feelings and someone else's. Once we understand this, we are able to meet each other in the middle, not to fix, not to rescue, but to witness and support. Which brings us to the fourth question, one that digs into your foundation. Do you believe in yourself? And where does that belief come from? Confidence, self-trust, belief in your worth? It's easy to say, just believe in yourself, but let's go deeper. Do you actually believe in yourself, or is your confidence conditional, dependent on how productive you were, how much praise you got, or how few mistakes you made? Where did your sense of self-worth come from? Was it built on encouragement or on achievement? Did it grow through mistakes or get shaken by them? And ask your loved ones too. When have you felt most powerful? When did that belief get shaken or restored? This question is so revealing because often we project our insecurities onto others without even knowing it. Or we expect support from people who are still working on believing in themselves. But when you know the origin of someone's self-belief or lack thereof, you are less likely to judge their hesitation or mistake it for apathy. And when you know your own, you stop outsourcing your worth. You start reclaiming it. And that paves the way for the final question, one that goes beyond the surface of joy and into something even deeper. What makes you feel alive? Not just happy, but deeply present. And let's be real. There is a big difference between pleasure, performance, and presence. We all have things that make us smile, but what about the moments that make you feel deeply you, that pull you into the now, where time slows down and your soul exhales? Ask yourself, and the people around you too, when do you feel most present? When do you feel most connected to yourself? When do you feel free? For some, it's creating something. For others, it's laughter, nature, prayer, deep conversation, or stillness. These are precious moments, and too often we overlook them because we are not productive or glamorous. But these are the moments that refill us, that ground us, that bring us home to ourselves. And knowing what brings you alive and what brings your loved ones alive helps you build a life in a community where aliveness is honored, not postponed. So create space for it, even if it's just 5 minutes a day, because presence is power. And let's be clear, you don't have to have the answers, just the courage to ask. You don't need a perfect roadmap. You don't need to solve or fix anything overnight. But what you do need is the courage to ask yourself the real questions and to ask your loved ones too. These aren't checklist questions. They are mirrors. And when we stop being afraid to look in the mirror, things start to shift. So journal on them, sit with them, talk about them over dinner or on a walk. Let them spark something new, not just in how you relate to others, but in how you relate to yourself. Because this kind of reflection, it's not self-indulgent. It's how real connection begins. And that's what we are all craving deep down. Not more noise, more realness. So here's to asking better questions so we can build better lives together. Because once you understand what's really driving someone, their fears, their longings, their motivations, you stop taking things so personally. You begin to see the deeper layers behind their actions, their choices, and even their moods. And that friend who always seems busy or distracted, maybe they are operating from a place of scarcity or proving their worth.